Time for another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a product and a brand called Redcatt. Now a lot of you do not know who Redcatt is, and yes, the name sounds absolutely Hong Kong, but stop there because they have some truly phenomenal products. I love Redcatt in all honesty, and I really wish we had a wider SKU available in South Africa because they've got some really crazy products that, at least on paper, speak huge numbers in performance. Now today we're not going to be looking at any of those premium speakers. We are in fact going to be looking at one of the cheaper 18-inch drivers from Redcatt, being the 18Find. Now this is a very affordable driver considering what you are getting. It does however have a small problem, and it's not packing in the length department. I mean X-Max. However, that being its Achilles heel, it has some really cool features, one of which it is possibly, if not the best driver I've heard when it comes to an 18 being able to reproduce the upper end of the bass spectrum. This driver gives you an absolute sense of detail and very quick dynamic bass. It almost sounds unnatural when you get into it. So for live music, this 100% is my go-to driver for a standard bass reflex cabinet because it just oozes with such smoothness and confidence, and yet it's one of the cheapest. So we're going to be taking a look at the Redcatt 18Find in this video, and of course the rules apply. In this series we are going to be trying to use a whole bunch of different 18-inch drivers. We're going to be loading them up into a bass reflex cabinet, of which we have designed this generic 18-inch box, of which if you missed the other videos, we can do some really cool things because we are doing a parametric style cabinet. And one of the things that we can do, for example, is change the overall depth of our cabinet from 750 down to, I don't know, let's make it 600. And you will notice that everything changes along with that setting. So let's bump this back to where we want to be, right? 750 as our standard. Look at how simple that is. We need it to be simple purely because we are going to be throwing so many drivers at the series that, well, we're going to have to make a lot of different boxes, right? All of which have to be as small as possible for touring applications, trying to achieve a -6 dB point at 35 Hertz. Right, and within this we are going to be using WinISD as part of this tutorial. If you are new to WinISD or just box design in general, take a look at WinISD. It is 100% free. It's been around for absolute donkey's years, and one of the first tools that I ever found on the internet when dial-up was still a thing. Bless our hearts, we have gone beyond those times. All right, so there are slightly more advanced software, and there is very much more advanced software which is also free, but the learning curve maybe not for beginners. So I love to teach people all about WinISD, and I find it to be quite good because I can continuously get good results both in the impedance measurements as well as within the design. They match up quite nicely, so it works. I'm confident that it works, and that's why I teach you on it. All right, so I have already entered in the information for Redcatt and already started the whole project up, but again I want to just quickly share some information with you. When I say it lacks in the bass department, well, in actuality, gentlemen, if we have a look here, if we take the height of the voice coil minus the gap height divided by 2 the good old-fashioned way, we are only coming out with 5.9 millimeters of cone displacement. However, if we consider that most brands are capable, or at least starting to provide the same standard, which is the height of the voice coil minus the gap height divided by 2. I'm going to try and give this formula out 1,000,000 times so you can practice it, plus the gap height divided by 4. What they are trying to indicate here is that we have a certain amount of BL available to us at a slightly higher level of excursion outside of this, and in which case we are basically taking this height of this gap, which is 12, right, dividing that by 4, which gives us a value of 3, and we are going to add that onto this, which is going to give us an 8.9. If you try to do this directly, or if you're looking at a specification sheet and you enter in Xmax while it has this particular uprated cone displacement available to it, the likelihood is when you go to start your project, not your product, it could be your product, who knows, it's going to give you an error. So do it the right way, follow the tutorials, and you will have no problems. So we've adjusted it out to 8.9 millimeters. And again, while it lacks in the cone displacement department, it is a phenomenal sounding driver. Literally my go-to for live music beyond any reasonable doubt, and it's pretty darn affordable. Right, let's go and have a look at what we are getting ourselves into. Remember, transfer function magnitude, guys, does not tell us how loud the speaker is. However, it does tell us based on some form of reference to 0, right? Are we a little bit louder or are we a little bit deeper? And that's all it's really doing. It does not consider things like where we are in cone displacement, how many watts we've got into the driver. It is really just showing us response. Now, I of course do have the Lavoce SAF184.03 from my previous video loaded, so we're going to be kicking things off from this point, and I'm going to be using this as a reference going forward. So 160 liters, 35 hertz, 160 liters, 35 hertz. I don't know what our neighbors down the road are doing, but they're going quite crazy this evening, so we might get to hear anything from gunshots, screaming, who knows. This is Joburg, sunny South Africa. It's pretty late, so let's take those filters off. Right, let's take those filters off, and you will see the Lavoce SAF184.03 with all that extra cone displacement definitely starts to excel in this low frequency response, right? At least within our transfer function magnitude. Is everything off? Yes, it is. Okay, so of course we're going to try and achieve a -6 dB at 35 hertz. And well, you know, I've kind of snuck in this measurement already, and I kind of know the Redcatt driver as well very, very well. There is one problem. While we were able to get out to the full rated power on the Lavoce being 1500 watts, right, we have a small problem. Due to the lack of cone displacement, we need to go into, well, about 700 watts. We kind of run out of cone displacement. Otherwise, we can make the box substantially smaller, but we start losing more and more bass. So as it has it, and so it would be, you can see already -6 dBs. We kind of already, that's -6. Okay, there we go. We kind of already on our mark. So if you are wanting to use the Lavoce cabinet for the Redcatt 18Find that we've designed, well, guess what? Outside of the driver being slightly different in size, they will actually slot in pretty well, with the exception that we need to turn down our overall power handling. Nothing else really needs to change. As you can see, cone excursion at 700 watts, we are well within a healthy state. And in comparison to our Lavoce, you can see again, here is a red line, definitely can handle more power. So which one is right for you? I really don't know, but I don't really need to change anything for this video because we are already looking kind of healthy. So just keep in mind, about 700 watts, slightly less. We are going to stay well out of power compression, and like I said, for live music, guys, I really like this drivers. If you are going to be pumping some deep house music, the Lavoce SAF 100% is going to be a better choice in this particular instance if we were comparing these two drivers. When it comes down to our rear airport velocity, you can see we actually don't have much vent velocity happening at the moment, which is, well, it's not necessarily a good thing. What I would normally do within this instance is actually go out to more ports and try and get that velocity up a little bit better. Remember, at the end of the day, while the vent does help with cooling, it does not help with cooling as much as you'd think, because the same channel of air is actually oscillating backwards and forwards. We could of course make these ports smaller, that absolutely would be no problem. In fact, it would help us try and sneak some overall size off of this cabinet, because we can shrink the height of the box. So I may take a look at doing that, but I'm going to keep things easy because it already is 11 o'clock in the evening, and I actually need to jump on to a homie's project who is building some beautiful Paraflex for some Fatal Pro 18XL 1600s out in Africa. So my brother from another mother, I promised him that I would be jumping onto his project and helping him realign to try and get the deepest possible base for those Fatals. Alright, so otherwise guys, that was about as simple as it could possibly get. One of which, our Lavoce SAF184.03, definitely has a higher power handling. But if you look at the overall SPL, even though we are basically doing less than half the watts, we've got about 2.5, 3 dBs difference in overall loudness. So trained ears can hear a difference at 2.5, 3 dBs, but for the average human being, they will both sound just as loud. However, when it comes to making bass, a little bit more cone displacement never hurts. In terms of our things like our maximum power handling, you will see that there is this dip, and this dip really is due to cone displacement. If you don't know what these graphs are, just leave a comment in the comment section on YouTube and I will try and answer. I will be uploading the cabinet onto our website under the Lavoce SAF184.03 series, labeled the same as YouTube, so easy to find, and please feel free, give them a download, give the cabinet a try. For myself, Gareth, I'm going to be calling it a short video. For now, goodbye.